welcome to this iteration of the History and the Edge lecture series, where today I'm very happy to present Dr. Gustavo Candela, who will be giving a lecture on the topic of publication and use of digital collections in the humanities. Gustavo is a lecturer in computer science at the University of Alicante, where he received his PhD in computer science. Until 2023, he was a member of the IT department at the Biblioteca Virtual Miguel de Cervantes, and his main research areas include information retrieval, semantic web, and collections as data. He has worked and published on the integration and quality of linked open data and libraries, as well as collections as data and Jupyter notebooks using various data sets provided by several GLAM institutions. He is involved with various institutions and initiatives, including the National Library of Scotland, Europeana, Liber, and Daria EU, where he also serves as co-chair of the DHWiki working group. So today's presentation, titled Data Publishing and Use in the Humanities, a GLAM Labs approach, will introduce the publication and use of digital collections in the humanities, following best practices and guidelines promoted by the international GLAM Labs community and collections as data initiatives. It will describe previous and ongoing work concerning the employment of reproducible code and workflows to reuse a wide diversity of content, including metadata, bibliographic records, or images. It will also present advanced techniques based on information retrieval, visualization, data quality, and enrichment with external repositories. Existing data research infrastructures and platforms in Europe will be outlined. So with that, Gustavo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the invitation, also for the introduction to my work, and also all the participants here and online. Thank you very much for attending this event. And well, today I'm going to be talking about data publishing and use in the humanities. Mostly I'll be talking about the international GLAM Labs community. And so first of all, I'll introduce a little bit about myself. Then I'll talk a little bit about this community. I hope you're going to find it interesting. Then I have quite a few case studies. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to cover today, but feel free to have any questions or once I'm finished with the presentation. And I have some future work ideas for the last part of the presentation. So I'm Gustavo Candela. I used to work in a library for more than 15 years, entitled Biblioteca Virtual Miguel de Cervantes. I did my PhD there, and at the moment I'm a lecturer in computer science. I'm part of the Joint Research Committee in DARIA, part of the Technical Assessment Committee in EQUES. I'm part of the Management Board of Wikimedia Spain, and I'm also a co-chair of the DHWiki in DARIA working group. And this is my email. I've been so lucky to be able to collaborate with so many institutions and associations and infrastructures, as you can see in this slide. I also included the logo of the institute, and I hope it's okay. And well, I have a background in computer science, but I used to work in a library, so I don't know if I'm a librarian or a computer science. I don't even know. So let's talk a little bit about the international GLAM Labs community. A lab in a GLAM institution is a digital or a physical space in which we can experiment with digital collections in innovative and creative ways. You will find that in general, these labs are digital, but you can find some institutions in which they can offer something physical, in which you can paint or you can play a little bit with the digital collections. But because of my background, of course, I'm most involved with digital labs. The international GLAM Labs community started like 8 years ago. The first event was at the British Library, and we had several events and meetings across these years. And I wanted to share with you that this year, in June, we will be having a new event in Edinburgh. I will share a few details about this event. We are still preparing the program, the invitations, and everything. But hopefully soon we will have more information about this event. And I think that you as an institute could be part of the community and also contribute to this event. So as you can see here, so far we have more than 90 institutions, and we have also a mailing list with about 400 members. So, you know, the only thing that we ask is that you show interest about GLAM Labs, and I hope that after this presentation you're gonna show some interest in digital collections and reuse and publication. And this is the only thing that we require. So if you want to be part of the community, just let me know or let us know. And the information is stored in Wikidata, and it's just it can be done in 5 minutes. So a few years ago, after my PhD, a few people, like 16, were gathered in Doha, and we were working in a hotel for a week, writing the book Open a GLAM Lab. In this book, you will find what is a lab, how you can share a lab, what is the resources that you need, the minimum resources that you need, and all kind of questions regarding the GLAM Lab. This book has been translated to several languages, including Spanish and many others, and we are open. It's published under a CC0 license, so feel free to reuse. And also, if you want to create a new translation, happy to hear about this too. And in the context of the International GLAM Labs community, we have been able to publish several articles, several books. We have been attending several conferences. And if you see my background, most of the articles that I have are somehow related to this movement and community. So here are some examples of GLAM Labs. There is no one way of creating a GLAM Lab. So sometimes you will see a real GLAM Lab, sometimes you will see only an API, sometimes you will see a section, but in general, what we think is a GLAM Lab is a space in which we have data available with a license that allows reuse and with examples of use and these kind of things. So here you have a few examples. I just wanted to mention that the Data Foundry at the National Library of Scotland and also the Bibliothèque Nationale de Luxembourg are really good examples in case you want to have a look. I have collaborated more with the National Library of Scotland, and you will find that they have data sets with different formats, examples of use, publications, news, and many things. So one of the main principles about the International GLAM Labs community is collections as data. When I first heard about this concept, I didn't know what was this. And it's an American movement, and I would recommend you to have a look to these two links that you can see in this slide, which is the Santa Barbara statement on collections as data, but also the 50 things. In this report, you will find 50 things that you can apply to your institution, so you are applying the collections as data principles. When I read these 50 things, I discovered that I was actually applying many of them, and so little by little, I understood a little bit what was the concept, and I have been able to publish a few research articles based on this idea. So for me, in a summary, collections as data is the combination of FAIR and CARE. FAIR is about making available FAIR data, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Because of my background, of course, I feel more comfortable with the FAIR principles, but I always encourage people to have a look to the CARE principles, which is about considering what kind of information are you making available, with which kind of documentation, if you have biases in this data. So providing information about this digital collection. The other main principle that we have in the International GLAM Labs community is about making available prototypes and examples of use. And we have been using Jupyter Notebooks for this. Jupyter Notebooks has been used and employed by many institutions, as you can see in this slide. Why? Because they are runnable in the cloud, they are easy to use, you don't need to code, you can combine code and documentation, they are pedagogical, they are very popular in the community, and of course they are reproducible, meaning that if you have some results, if you want to reproduce this research, you will be able to have the same results that you see in the article. There's an article that we wrote in which we review several Jupyter Notebook projects that is in this link, okay? If you wanted to run a Jupyter Notebook collection, it's just a click. The Jupyter Notebook might be available on GitHub, and you will see a link entitled Launch Binder. You click there, you wait for 30 seconds or something like this. Well, it depends. You are using free resources. Sometimes it cannot work. Sometimes it may take a little bit more of time. And then you will see the Jupyter environment in your browser. You don't need to install any software. You don't need to do anything. You just use your browser. And then you will be able to have the Jupyter Notebooks, and you will be able to run, create. Of course, there are limitations in terms of resources. If you close the browser, you will lose everything. So you have to be aware about this, but it's a very simple way of providing examples of use. And what can you do with Jupyter Notebooks? These are just a few ideas. I will be introducing a few of them in this presentation, but of course you can do other things. And for instance, we will see data quality, data visualization, computer vision, the use of LLM. We will have, of course, reproducible workflows. Each of the articles is a workflow with steps based on Jupyter Notebooks. And also, for instance, the use of federate queries enable the integration of several repositories. We will have an example of this. I wanted to mention today that this work is also related to the AI for LAM community. And I don't know if you know, but Ines, who used to work in the library, is leading this community at the moment. And they just released a new website yesterday, I think. And there's a call for paper for Washington. And it will be a hybrid event. So you don't need to go to Washington. Of course, they want us to go there, but we understand that it might be expensive or whatever. So let's go to the case studies. I'll try to cover as much as I can, but I don't know how much time I have, but I'll start. So you will see that many of the examples that we will see today, you will see the Wikidata logo. You have to know that I'm a Wikimedian. I'm part of Wikimedia Spain, and I did a lot of research based on Wikidata and cultural heritage. So you will see that Wikidata is almost everywhere in the use cases, okay? And for those that don't know what is Wikidata, it's a collaborative edition platform based on standards. It provides structured data, is multilingual, is available under public domain, and is edited by the community. So the first work that I did was at Biblioteca Virtual Miguel de Cervantes. This was actually my PhD, and we transformed the catalog into link competent data. We also enriched the catalog with Wikidata. This was actually my first work and with Wikidata. I didn't know about Wikidata before. And this is actually the first thing that I did. This was before I knew the International GLAM Labs community and anything. I was doing this as part of my work in the library and also as part of my PhD. Then I discovered GLAM Labs and we connected somehow, and then I could move forward with this work. So after making available this link open data repository, I was fighting a little bit with the library so they could use this information to enrich the traditional website. I was allowed to do anything in the lab. We had a lab in the library and I could do anything there, but we had the traditional website and I wanted to include something from the lab into the traditional website. So after a few years, we were able to do something. And now if you go to the traditional website and you search by an author or something, you will be able to filter by information that is not available in the catalog, by information which is actually in Wikidata and was retrieved thanks to the enrichment that we did. So this was, I felt really happy when I saw that, because it meant that the work that I did as part of my PhD was actually useful in the traditional website too. Then after this work, I wanted to try with other institutions and see if I could be able to do the same that I did in Biblioteca Virtual Miguel de Cervantes, but in other institutions. So I applied for a fellowship at the National Library of Scotland, and I did a similar thing. They have data sets, and I transformed 2 of them into link open data. And you can have a look to this article in which I describe the work that I did. As part of this fellowship, I was invited to attend an event in Vancouver concerning collections as data. 50 people, well, 50 researchers were gathered together in Vancouver for a few days, and we were able to review the Vancouver Statement on Collections as Data that you can see in this link. And also we were asked to provide a small text in which we could say the work that we did regarding collections as data and the future from our point of view regarding collections as data, which is the second link that you have available in this slide. Then, as part of the work in the International GLAM Labs community, we thought that it could be interesting to provide some kind of guidelines for small and medium-sized institutions so they could apply collections as data. So as in a collaborative effort, and during a year or something like this, we came out with this list of items. I won't cover in this slide. I will say a little bit more about these steps later. In order to introduce institutions how they could start employing collections as data. It's important to note that you don't have to follow all this order and you don't have to use all of them. For instance, the Data Foundry at the National Library of Scotland, they didn't want to provide an API. They thought that it could be better for researchers to have access to a zip file that they can download. But in other labs, you will have an API, such as, for instance, Biblioteca Virtual Miguel de Cervantes. So you don't have to follow this order, and you don't have to use all of them. It's just the best practices and guidelines. So this is available also in the form of a research article, in case you want to have a look. And I try to, in order to facilitate the understanding of the presentation, I try to add what is the purpose of this use case, and you can see the information at the top right, like here in publication. So this work, and in the context of Web Archive, we have been trying to adapt these best practices to the Web Archive content. And we have been working on several conferences, and also we thought about writing a research article based on this Web Archive content and collections as data. So you will see a few examples online. Another step based on this checklist was that we wanted to have a more systematic approach. And so we saw the opportunity within the common European data space for cultural heritage, which is led by Europeana. And through Daria, through the collaboration of Daria and Europeana, we thought about transforming the checklist into a workflow. For this, we used the Social Science and Humanities Open Marketplace from Daria. They provide a tool in which you can provide an introduction to the workflow, and then at the bottom, you can add the steps and add a description for each of the steps. So here is the workflow that we created based on the checklist. So I will try to cover each of them. So the first one is about providing a clear license, enable reuse. The second one is providing a suggested citation. The third one is about including documentation about the dataset, and I will be covering this in more detail later. The fourth is use a public platform to make available the dataset for the public. I don't know, Zenodo, GitHub. Share examples of use, Jupyter Notebooks, for instance. Think about the structure for the dataset. Imagine that you have images, you have text, you have OCR, you have metadata. So how can you structure this information into a folder so when a researcher download this, understand what is the content? Include machine-readable metadata about the content provided in the dataset. Use an existing collaborative edition platform to include information about the dataset, for instance, Wikidata, but then I discovered the Social Science and Humanities Open Marketplace, which could be also used for this. Provide the dataset by means of an existing API and create a website describing the content. Again, you don't have to use all of them. You don't have to follow this order. But there are many ways in which we publish data. So there is not only one way. As I said before, some make available a zip file, others make available an API, some provide a Zenodo, some only provide a portion of the data. There are like a million of formats to make available the data. So there is not only one way. I don't know the details, but I know that Europeana did a survey regarding this topic, and you can have access to this report in this link. So just keep that in mind. So also as part of this collaboration with Europeana and Daria, we published a set of courses in Daria campus regarding data publication, the use of Europeana APIs, and also the introduction to collections as data. In addition, we wrote an article regarding how this workflow was applied to Europeana, to what extent, and what could be the future regarding collections as data in Europeana. And this information is available in this research article that we published a year ago in Daria Transformations. And if you want to go to one place and have all the information, Alba wrote to me yesterday, and they have published in Europeana this new section in which you will have access to the workflow, the article, and the course. So you will have everything there. Okay, so thank you, Alba. Another topic, but also related to Europeana, is datasets for digital cultural heritage datasets. And this is about making available documentation about digital collections following a structure. So you will be making available documentation describing how the digital collection was curated, what is the institution, who were the curators, who were the authors. There are examples of use regarding this digital collection. There is information missing. There are biases in the data. So this is datasets was created for this. I don't know if you know about this work. This is a working group in Ljubljana. I was invited to join them. And actually, we are working towards a machine-readable version of these datasets. So we will be able to provide a machine-readable version of the documentation regarding the digital collections. We are creating a tool that hopefully soon will be released. And this might be the standard to share the data with the European data space for cultural heritage. So we are moving in that direction. So it might be interesting if you want to collaborate with the data space to understand a little bit how it works. So as I said, I have done many things regarding Wikidata, and you have to know that Wikidata has been really relevant in the GLAM context, and many institutions have created a property in Wikidata so they can link their records to Wikidata. Okay, so this is what you can see here, and you will see later a few examples based on this linking. So one example, and I'm very happy to introduce this here because I know that, well, thanks that I was here these days, I discovered that you have a database about the victims of the Second World War. And a year ago or something like this, I decided that I wanted to do some research regarding my country because I was doing many things outside, but I wanted to do something in my country too regarding the National Library of Scotland, El Prado, or also, I don't know, historical events such as the Spanish Civil War. So based on all the things that I have introduced you already, we try to create a reproducible workflow in order to extract data from Wikidata to create several use cases, as you can see here. So for instance, we were able to retrieve information and create collections as data based on the Spanish Civil War and according to the refugee ships, artists from the period of the Spanish Republic and the Spanish Civil War, French refugee camps, and also, of course, bibliographic records related to the Spanish Civil War. So when we use Wikidata, we found that many information was already available there, but in some cases we have to edit Wikidata ourselves in order to have like the whole data there. And we use Spanish archives in order to retrieve, not to retrieve, to understand what should be retrieved from Wikidata. Okay, you have to understand that I have a very limited knowledge about history. My background is computer science, and I have to go to sources in order to get the right thing. Okay, and this will be hopefully published soon as a research article. But if you want to have a look, the Jupyter notebooks are already there, and you can have a look to if you want to the content. The other article that we were able to publish recently is about federated queries. I don't know if you know what is this, but institutions have been making available digital collections and repositories, and somehow they are not connected. And since I did my PhD, I wanted to explore this concept of federated queries. And I knew that from Wikidata, other repositories are federated, meaning that you can, through Wikidata, access the National Library of Spain or the National Library of France. And imagine you have an author, Miguel de Cervantes. You can, through Wikidata, retrieve the records of this author from Biblioteca Virtual Miguel de Cervantes, but through Wikidata. So it was a way of interconnecting several repositories. So we did the same. We established a set of use cases based on Spanish Golden Age movement and several authors such as Jorge Juan or María de Zayas y Sotomayor, and also bibliographic records according to a period or something. And we create a reproducible workflow in order to extract the data, to store the data, to provide some visualizations, and but focus on federated queries. Okay. Another thing based on Wikidata and that we were able to publish also recently is data quality in museums. I wanted to focus on Spanish museums, but we ran this query that you see in this slide, and this is about retrieving museums in Wikidata having more than the 5,000 records linked, and I don't remember the number of the names of the museums that we use, but I don't know if in the end we had some museum from Spain. But anyway, I was really happy to be able to do this work. And the idea is that we provide the data quality criteria, and through Wikidata, we try to assess how these museums that have more than 5,000 records linking Wikidata provide their data, and how they have linked, if they are federated through the Wikidata endpoint, and we measure a few things. More regarding Wikidata, I don't know if you know Wikibase, but Wikibase is the software behind Wikidata. A few years ago, using Wikibase was really difficult, I can tell you, but today is just one click. And I want to mention this because if we are thinking about making available data about a project or a digital collection, I think Wikibase is a free and open solution that you can use, and you will be making available fair data, just like this. You don't need to install anything. You don't need a server. So it's now is easier than a few years ago to use Wikibase. So in the context of the DHWiki DARIA working group, we wrote a white paper, which is at the moment under review in DARIA transformations, and we will be presenting this work in the DARIA annual event in Rome in May. But if you want to have a look, this white paper is already available in Zenodo, but it's under review for DARIA transformations, and is a way of understanding how Wikibase can be used in order to publish fair data. Another example is about visualization. I wanted to explore how to provide a reproducible tool in order to visualize the content of digital collections. Of course, this example is based on link open data, but it could be applied to other content. So what you will see in this article is a Jupyter notebook that actually provides you a tool that you can run in a browser, and you will see an interface, and you can click and see visualizations based on link open data repositories, in this case made available by libraries. I have been working a lot with data quality in knowledge graphs, and I won't cover this in detail, but I have been doing many things regarding the assessment of knowledge graph in order to create a data quality criteria and assess the metadata that the institutions have made available. And so what you see here, I will focus, for instance, in this example, is a shape expression that you can manually create, but also you can use a tool to mine a digital link open data repository in order to retrieve how the information is modeled, which is relevant if you want to reuse this data. So it's a very simple way of retrieving the structure of the data, of the metadata of a link open data repository. But also you can use this in order to assess how the data is described in the repository. And you can identify if all the records have a title, or if one record have two titles, and these things, okay? This is another work that I did as part of a fellowship in Poland in collaboration with a supercomputing center in Poznan. And what you see here is another framework or workflow in which we see several steps, and we were able to reuse the European literary bibliography. This is a huge repository. I haven't used the whole set of records, but we were able to extract 3 data sets and also cover all the steps, and then think about potential research scenarios in which we could reuse this content or future work regarding these data sets. And you have to know that thanks to this work and that I was in Poland, I thought about doing the other work about the Spanish Civil War. So I don't know the relation, but it was like this. This is another work that we did as part of the International GLAM Labs community, and in this case it's based on the computer vision and on newspapers published by Iceland, the National Library of Iceland. And in this article, you can find, in addition to the example of how to apply YOLO and computer vision to newspapers, you can also find a workflow in order to create a Jupyter Notebook collection from scratch. And this is what you can see here. So you have analysis, you have implementation, and then you have publication and reuse. And in this article, each of these steps are described in detail. Other work that we have been doing regarding artificial intelligence, I know that maybe you wanted to hear a little bit about artificial intelligence, is about using LLM with web archive content. I only help a little bit here, but I think it's really interesting what they did or what we did. I only did a little bit, okay? And they provided this tool in the form of a Jupyter Notebook, and I found it really interesting. I won't cover in detail, but they used web archive content. They created word embeddings using the text provided by the web archive, and then you use an LLM in order to be able to query the data provided by the web archive, but using natural language instead of searching by using keywords. So this was really interesting. And if you want to have a look, you have access to the Jupyter Notebook and everything. So now I discovered this database that you have here at the Institute. And now that you have discovered the things that we do in the International GLAM Labs community, I wanted to align your database with these ideas. So I have a few questions here, like, is there an API available? Can we extract data from there? Is there documentation? I think there is, but to what extent? Is there examples of use? Is the data enriched with external repositories? And below you have the logos of the things that you could apply to. Okay. So yesterday I created a GitHub to try to create some examples, but it's not very sophisticated. But anyway, if you want to have a look, or this could be something for future work or future collaboration, or I don't know. So I also wanted to mention research infrastructure in Europe. So I'll get up, I think it's better. So what you see here is the Common European Data Space for Cultural Heritage. You see here all the logos that you saw in the slides. So you have the International GLAM Labs community, the Collections as Data initiative, you have CARE, you have the data. The data is used in the European Cloud for Heritage Open Science, and we apply all the things that I introduced you in these slides and the use cases, and then we have derived data sets that are introduced into the European Open Science Cloud, Then we have best practices, and we can restart the process, and then it goes like a circle. Okay. So based on this, we wrote another article, sorry. And at the top, you can see the European Open Science Cloud. And we wanted to integrate Jupyter notebooks in this data infrastructure. So this is what you can see here. And we identify 5 use cases that could be used in this infrastructure and using Jupyter notebooks. And you have here the workflow that we created and that you can have access in this article. You have to know that the European Cultural Heritage Cloud, they will have, is under development, okay? And they will have a knowledge base, and the metadata about the data sets and examples of use and everything will be based on SciDoc. So this is what you can see here. I just pretend that the platform was already finished, and but I don't know if what I did in this article will be actually what should be in the end, okay? So now future work, luckily for you. So these are things that I would like to do. If I have time, I would like to explore. I'm sharing openly with you. So I would like to try, I have done many workflows, but I would like to have something more automatic. And I know that this community, they have a cloud service in which you can create a workflow. So I would like to see how this could be done. I also would like to continue working a little bit with the data quality and knowledge graph. And the Getty Institute has recently published a new link open data repository about provenance information, in which you can explore art transfers. So, and they cover the period of the Second World War, and you can identify if an artwork was stolen or something like this. So I would like to have a look and see what I can do with this. Another thing that I discovered while doing this work concerning the European Cultural Heritage Cloud is that I reuse maps from the National Library of Spain, and I apply LLM vision models, and I could get an interesting description of the maps. And I have expertise in order to for data modeling, and I could try to improve the metadata of these maps, which is actually poor, and we could try to use this LLM to improve the metadata of these records. So this is something that I would like to explore in more detail. And I just wanted to mention that I like doing these things with my computer and using a local LLM that I can have under control and everything, okay? Another thing that I would like to try, and I have done a few examples, is using the data from GLAM labs, such as the Data Foundry at the National Library of Scotland, and try an example like the web archive, the other example that I showed you before. And the last thing I think is that I wanted to share with you is this event that if you like what I have introduced you today, we will have an event in Edinburgh in June. We are still working on the program and the participants, and but soon we will have all the information about this event, and we will be really happy if any of you could be there and be integrated into the community and participate and share. And I just wanted to mention that this is not a typical event. It won't have a CFP. It will be more a collaborative event. So we would like you, if you come, to say, I would like to chair this session, or I would like to speak in this session, or I would like to help in this session to do whatever. So it's more like a collaborative event than the CFP and a traditional conference. And I think I did it in time. I don't know how, but this is all. I don't know if I skip any slide. I don't know. But thank you very much. I hope it was okay. And I know it was too much, but I'm happy to listen to any questions. And I don't know if you want to know more about each of these examples, the Spanish Civil War or anything, I'm happy to share or whatever. So thank you very much.
Okay, so with that, I would open the Q&A session. We have the first question. Great.
Thank you. Please, give us an example. For us who are not, how does this work? For us who don't understand anything. We're completely lost.
You were completely...
Understand just something that it sounds very interesting and very useful. And broadly I understood stuff. But I'm just a pure historian. Please do it. Tell me. Tell us. Oh, I challenge you.
So, what kind of example would you like? I don't know.
You said Spanish Civil War.
Okay.
Okay, let's do that. And I think I'm not as stupid as I said. I think I would like to know if I understand properly.
But you want me to explain with words, or you want me to better with words? I think.
But
Maybe we can start.
You can go to the page to something.
I think that what Marco needs and what probably many people need is to understand how, to put it a bit more in your vocabulary, how you connect the workflow of proper research, proper historical research, to the workflow of working with data. Meaning, what is the impact of all of this for someone who does not, when doing research, does not think in terms of data?
So there are a few things. No.
I have to leave, but I will catch you tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you, Agustin.
I
Thank
would
you.
like to also have data, but this kind of
maybe we can
is useful because we need to. If we'll do that, we can learn also a lot of your stuff. But we need to know how to use it somehow.
Okay, maybe we can first start with the example of the Spanish Civil War. Maybe we can start with the description of what was the data. Were you dealing with textual documents? Were you dealing with archival data?
Okay.
First, that.
So, first thing is Wikidata is not about text. It's about metadata.
Yes.
Okay. So we have the Spanish archives in Spain, and they have somehow connected their data to Wikidata. So Wikidata has an API in which you can run a query on a browser and you can retrieve the data. And you can do this with a browser, but you can also do this with a Jupyter Notebook and with Python, with just a few lines of code. So the idea was to identify the data. They have like guides based on these use cases. You have to know, I don't know much about history, so we are...
That's why here is the field when we can understand each other.
So
in the unknown.
Let me go to this slide. Okay. So I discovered... No, I think I have to use this. I discovered this guide of the exile Spanish, and I saw that they had information about the exile of artists that went abroad, and the refugee camps, the ships that helped, but I didn't know much about this. But I discovered this information in this websites.
That's good. Now we're talking my language.
So, first thing, I discovered the data for a human in these websites. And then I saw that they had links to Wikidata, and that Wikidata had a property linking to those. Then this was the connection with my work, because I could try to, using these records here with Wikidata, I could retrieve the information about these records. Imagine SIPs or artists.
That's great.
And then I use the Sparkle endpoint, the API of Wikidata, in order to retrieve the information based on these use cases. What happened? That in some cases the data was not, some of the SIPs were not there. So I created a Wikidata, these SIPs. And normally you will find that the information here may not be very accurate or may not have everything. And maybe you go to Wikidata and you have like a bunch of properties describing this. In some cases, nothing. But in some...
I understand that. So you connected those two things. It is super useful if you're interested in the topic. For someone who would research that, it's something that you would go really faster. You get access to some things that you wouldn't get without that.
Also, additional information, and basically it's enrichment. Having additional information about about existing data that you have, adding additional data, connecting it, enriching it, and having additional context.
Okay.
Basically, if I understood correctly. Sorry.
Then I understood more than I thought. Thank you very much for this information.
So, and just, you can have a look. I was hoping that with all these workflows and everything, you would understand something, but I know that I have too much in these slides.
It's the discourse. It's the discourse that here we are, also historians could try to understand, and we are not familiar with the vocabulary discourse paradigm. So sometimes it needs to be translated to our language, and now it was completely clear. Okay. That's why you know what I mean. That's why I was maybe a little bit rough at the beginning. But
Sorry. Sorry. But what you can see here is just the identification of sources, which is actually this. Then data extraction and modeling, which is extracting the data from Wikidata, and if something is not there included in Wikidata, then I can retrieve everything, and then publishing and reuse.
Great. Now I understand also the Thank you very much, and I leave the space for other questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry for all the inconvenience.
No.
Okay, so we have first a question from Zoom from Anayara. She thanks me for the presentation, and she says that at the same time that can be quite intimidating for people who are not used to using these specific tools. So basically very related to this what we just had discussion about. And her question is, what kind of actions are taken to get researchers to use them? And basically to teach them how to use them.
So I have to say that I have been giving like, I don't know, 50 workshops in order to train people like you to use Jupyter notebooks. And you can have a very simple Jupyter notebook with just a Jupyter notebook is just cells. It's like a Word document with cells in which you can have code and text. Text is just text, Markdown, and code is Python. And you just click and you run the code in the cell. And if you want to rerun the code, you just go there, click, and run. And if you want to create a new cell, you just click, you can create a new cell and run. And if you want to update the code that I provide, you can also do this. But of course, depending on the knowledge of the participants in the event, you will need more advanced material or more less advanced. Okay, so I understand there is problems with this, but we've been trying to. I know it is not perfect, but it's a way. We had nothing, and now we have something in which we can play. And something that I did not mention is that I like using open things like Binder to run the notebooks, but the European Open Science Cloud provides you a service in which you can run Jupyter notebooks in a server within the European infrastructure for free. Okay, so this is really interesting. If you were to publish a research article or something like this, you could use this and say we are using EOS.
That's great.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Welcome.
I have two questions, very different one. One is just which LLMs do you use, and if they are fine-tuned for your tasks, or they are fine-tuned for Spanish, maybe? And then this is more political, or yes, it is political. You put on your schemes EOS as something that will integrate everything in the field. Do you really believe that EOS will be able to do it on the European and also in the national level, the task?
Okay, let's start with the first question. Maybe you have to repeat me the second one, but the first question, well, you have to know, I'm not an expert on LLM. I started a few months ago to understand a little bit how it works. I'm not an expert on this. So I haven't trained anything. I haven't fine-tuned anything. I just, in order to try to implement the use cases that we
For the maps.
yes, for the maps, for instance, I try to create the environment in my computer, not this one, not the one that I have at home, and with a GPU and everything. And but I use a local environment. I don't like. I mean, I wouldn't use with the content of the library a commercial. I wouldn't use, even though maybe they already have everything, but I have my principles, and I would use something on my computer. And if I move forward with any of these ideas that I have regarding retrieval augmented generation or any of these ideas, would be on my computer or using a supercomputing center such as the one that you have here in Slovenia or the one in Poznan or something like this. But something that I can trust. No. Okay. And the other question,
Because it's so politically
well,
pushed
I'm
and supported and everything.
no, I'm not against, and I think I'm more pro.
Okay.
So I would say that it could be, for me, EOS is more like transversal with all the disciplines there, and I would think it could be a good idea. But the problem is, I don't know if we have funding to create this, but what I can say is that the services that they provide at the moment, there are some that I have tried and they work, and such as the one that I said, EOS notebooks, and you could use this for free. You don't need a server, you don't need anything, and it can be something useful for all research.
Okay.
I'm just skeptical because EU is coming with one idea and they stop fundings or not funding it enough, and they have a new idea, and if it will be stop funding again, then we will be nowhere, just having more dispersed.
I haven't been involved that far with EOS. I think I will be more involved with the ECCH.
Yeah.
But it's under development, and I'm going next week to Poznan to the annual event for ECOES, and I'm hoping to discover more about the current state of the infrastructure and how we can integrate our data, our services, but I don't think we will be there already. But I don't know.
Okay, do we have, okay.
Okay, so another historian speaking here, and I would, I guess, like to address something that a lot of us have problems with, especially us dealing with higher materials. So I guess our general technique of going to archives is taking a lot of photos. Now, of course, it depends on what kind of materials you have, but for me, it can go up to 1,000 photos per day, which means that I'm dealing with a huge amount of data, and this huge amount of data is not OCR'd because, yes, well, that's a part of our struggle. We are not quite sure what the best technique for OCRing that much material would be without losing multiple days to OCR everything. So is there any way to implement data extraction from non-OCR'd images? That would be my very naive question, I guess.
You mean like the map thing that I...
It's usually,
Yes.
for me, it's textual, for example.
No, but...
So you can textualize text like a map.
So here, I use a local environment, as I said, nothing sophisticated, just a PC. And I only use this image,
Okay.
only.
Mhm.
And I had this description.
Okay.
And I was quite amazed about the result with only computer, okay? At home.
Okay.
So I thought that this is another idea that I have, is that maybe I could use a selection of maps from the National Library of Spain and try to create a knowledge graph using computer vision. And the information that they have regarding these maps is very poor. I mean, so I could try and it worked. I had a quick look, okay? I had to do 5 use cases in no time, so I didn't review everything in detail, but this is actually the result that I get when running the LLM. You have to check the quality, but it could be a way of having a preliminary text to describe images.
Thank you.
Great, and then I would also like to ask a question regarding our database, maybe points of connection that you can see with our data that you have seen in the database of the Second World War victims. Okay, well, first I can answer the first question. We do have an API, so you are able to get the data. But my question would be, what do you see as the key point where we can connect in terms of data enrichment and how this can be used?
I see, I mean, the things that I have done in Biblioteca Virtual Miguel de Cervantes, I mean, all of them can be applied to this project. So the first thing that I would think is about adding a new section there, which is lab. And then I could create Jupyter notebooks in order to show how to access the API, how to extract the same things that you saw.
Basically to have data visualization, data quality assessment to some
We could also assess the data quality, we could provide
the details, the describing the technical side of the metadata.
The metadata, what is there, what is not, and also we could try to enrich the data that you already have with external repositories. And as you said before, this could allow you to create context through your data.
Exactly.
Okay? If you want to, because I was telling the library, if you want to add all this information to the authors, for instance, how many time do you need?
Exactly.
5 years? So if you just create this link, you will have everything about the author.
basically, yes. And I think this is a great point of connection for future collaboration.
Let's see where.
Where the
But
future is headed.
I will be more than happy to help, and I see the connection not only with this, but also because of the topic. I would like to keep working on the Spanish Civil War and the Second World War events, and those are connected. So I was really happy when I saw this this project, and so let's see how we can collaborate, of course.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
No.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
if we have a moment.
Yes, yes,
I just want to ask a question about the licenses and copyright, because you mentioned it at some point a few times. So could you, again, also as a historian, so I'm in some senses familiar with it, but not entirely. How does the process around the licenses look like? How do you go around? What are the requirements? If it's like metadata that you produced?
I'm a reuser. I'm not a publisher, so I can answer the question from the point of view of a reuser. So
Okay.
every time that I try to do a research, I try to identify the license and their the license use when making available this content. Otherwise, if I don't see a CC BY or CC0 or just a license that I'm allowed to reuse this data, I won't use that, because I want to do something useful and under the law.
Yeah.
But I understand this is not my topic at all. But I understand that it's a really difficult field to identify what is the right copyright or license and these kind of things. I used to work in a library. I saw that in some cases they don't even know which license they can use. But if you go, for instance, to the Data Foundry at the National Library of Scotland, what they did was identifying collections in their catalog that they could make available, because they knew actually the license for these data sets. So if you were to create some kind of lab, something like this, you could do this instead of making available everything. Try to focus on sections of the data or something like this.
Okay. And this is maybe a very very simple and slightly stupid question. But if you produce the metadata, if it's just like let's say an inventory or something
Yes.
like that, then you can license. Then you can choose the license.
When I publish data, I always add CC BY.
Yeah.
CC BY. I always add CC BY. If you check my GitHub, all the data, all the things that I do are CC BY.
Okay, great.
I'm a Wikimedia, so. And the book, Open GLAM Lab book, is under CC0. But we should have used CC BY. But we were talking like 2 hours deciding, and anyway.
Okay. Any other questions? And if not, I would like to thank you, Gustavo, very much for your presentation and for all of the questions. And I would like to announce and invite you to the next lecture that's going to be held on the 25th of March with the title Brown Roots of the Green Movement, the Far Right and the Environmental Protection After 1945. And with that, I think
Thank you very much for your attention and for attending this event. And I hope you understood a little bit about what I was saying. Thank you.
Thank you.